Is the Atlanta real estate market hot or cold? News headlines will tell you yes and no and hot and cold, but those kinds of broad statements rarely tell the full story about what's actually happening in specific neighborhoods. For those of you interested in Brookhaven or the 30319 zip code and area, the reality of the market can look very different from what the national headlines suggest. So today I want to walk you through the latest numbers for February 2026 and, more importantly, what those numbers actually mean for home sellers and home buyers here in our local market. There comes a point when your home no longer fits your life, or when someone you know reaches that moment, not because anything is wrong with the home, but because life has evolved. This channel is for Atlanta home sellers and home buyers who want more space, access to great schools, proximity to job centers, shopping, dining, and the kind of neighborhoods where you can feel settled and connected, whether that means knowing your neighbors or simply enjoying a quieter place to land. Here we talk about homes, neighborhoods, market timing, and how to move forward well when selling and buying are connected. My role is to help you move forward with sage advice and gracious service so your home buying and selling experience feels intentional, supported, and aligned with the life you are building next. Let's start with the number of homes that actually sold. In February, 23 homes sold in the 30319 market. That's a bit lower than the 28 homes that sold during the same month last year. Now, on the surface, that might sound like demand is weakening, but in reality, what we're seeing is something that has become fairly common in the past couple of years. The number of homes selling each month is often less about demand and more about how many homes are actually available for people to buy. When inventory is tight, sales numbers naturally look smaller, even when there are still plenty of motivated home buyers in the market. So this number alone doesn't tell us the full story. So next, let's look at new listings coming onto the market. In February, 52 new homes were listed, which is slightly higher than the 47 homes that came on the market last February. That's encouraging to see because one of the biggest challenges for home buyers over the past several years has simply been lack of inventory, lack of homes to choose from. However, when we zoom out and look at the year-to-date numbers, we actually see fewer listings so far this year compared to last year. So while February brought a small bump in new listings, inventory overall is still fairly limited. And that limited supply continues to shape the entire market. Now let's talk about days on market, because this is one of the numbers people often watch most closely, including me. The median days on market rose to 27 days compared to just 7 days during the same month last year. That sounds like a dramatic change, but it's important to keep that number in context. Last year's market was extremely fast. Homes were often selling in just a few days. What we're seeing now is something that actually looks much more like a healthy, balanced market. Homes are still selling, but home buyers now have a little more time to evaluate homes, do inspections carefully, and make thoughtful decisions. And for many families making a major move, that's actually a very good thing. Looking at home prices, which is the number everyone is always curious about, the average sold price in February was about $1.38 million, which is an increase from roughly $1.25 million a year ago. And the median sold price came in at $1.4 million for the month. Now, that jump in the median price is fairly significant, but it's important to remember that in smaller monthly sample sizes, just a few high-end sales can move that number quite a bit. So instead of focusing on a single month, I like to look at the overall trend. And the trend we're seeing continues to show steady price strength in the Brookhaven area, especially for homes that are well prepared and properly positioned for the market. Usually that means clean and in good condition. When you start thinking seriously about your next home, the questions usually go far beyond price. Timing, sequencing, lifestyle goals, and how everything fits together often matter just as much. This is where my team at Sage+Grace Realty Group and I help most in a consultation. We take the time to understand your story, where you've been, what you've built in your career and your life, and where you're headed next. We look at the financial, logistical, and emotional considerations together so you can see your options clearly and decide what makes the most sense for you. If that kind of clarity would be helpful, my consultation link is below. So when we step back and look at the big picture, a few things become clear. Demand for homes in Brookhaven and the surrounding 30319 areas remains very strong. Inventory is still relatively limited, even though we're seeing a small increases in listings from time to time. Homes are taking a little longer to sell, which gives home buyers more breathing room. And at the same time, prices remain resilient, especially in neighborhoods where buyers want to be close to schools, parks, dining, and job centers. For home sellers, the strategy right now is about positioning. The homes that sell quickly and at strong prices are the ones that are thoughtfully prepared, priced strategically, and marketed to stand out in a competitive environment. That's what an agent like me. Contact me. I'm Judy Jernigan with the Sage+Grace Realty Group, part of the agency Atlanta. That's what I'm here to help you figure out: how to make your home thoughtfully prepared, priced strategically, and marketed to stand out in a competitive environment. Homes on the market, simply put, a home on the market and hoping for multiple offers is no longer the strategy it once was, but well-positioned homes are still attracting very serious home buyers. For home buyers, the slightly slower pace can be helpful. You may have a little more time to evaluate homes carefully and in some cases negotiate more thoughtfully. But because inventory remains limited, the best homes are still moving quickly. So being prepared, having your preparation and your strategy lined up and ready to go are just as important as ever, and that's what I'm here to help you with. When you enjoy seeing this kind of local market analysis, I also share a more detailed breakdown of the Atlanta market in my monthly email newsletter, Market Update. It's where I go a little deeper into what's happening in specific neighborhoods and what those trends may mean for homeowners who are thinking about making a move. If you'd like to receive that, you can find the link to subscribe in the description below. One of the things I always remind my clients is that real estate markets are made up of real people making real life decisions. Families grow, needs change, and sometimes a home that once fit your life perfectly simply doesn't anymore. The market data can help guide those decisions, but the most important thing is making a move thoughtfully and strategically when the timing is right for you and your family. When your home no longer fits your life, or when someone you know is starting to think about what comes next, you deserve guidance that considers both the numbers and the human side of the experience. Helping home sellers and home buyers move forward with confidence is what my team at Sage+Grace Realty Group, part of the agency Atlanta, and I do every day. When you want to begin a conversation, let's book a chat. I'm easy to find. I'm Judy Jernigan, team lead of Sage+Grace Realty Group and a founding partner of the agency in Atlanta. I'll see you in the next video.